Hello again. Stream should be back up now. Anyway, yeah. One thing I will say is that Hit 'em Up is a main Terran main player. Um, all of his off races are obviously at a decent level, given that he chose to play random. But I'm guessing his Zerg and Protoss will probably, just like Flash and ASL, be a little more gimmicky than his Terran would be. So if we see Hit 'em Up roll Terran, it might, most likely it would be the most advantageous matchup to him, right? Because again, TVZ plus he'll have his main race and he'll have the advantage of Hawk not knowing that he's starting as Terran. So could get away with some early cheese or just a little bit of a build advantage, like a economic build advantage.
Yeah, definitely. I think when I don't know how you feel about Flash's ASL run as random, but personally, I found it kind of lame when he rolled Terran, and then it's just like, oh well, he has his main race that he's unbeatable with, plus the opponent doesn't know that he has Terran. So I mean, you didn't get really quality games out of that. That being said, I mean, I don't think it's going to be that level of. I don't think it's going to be like an instant win if Hit 'em Up gets Terran.
No, definitely not. I would still put Hit 'em Up as the underdog against Hawk, even if he does get Terran.
Yeah, Hawk is definitely a super solid Zerg player. We've seen him, I think, in the first qualify. Did he qualify through the first qualifier?
I don't remember. I think it might have been.
I just remember we one of the times I casted, we followed a lot of his games, and he did not have an easy road to qualifying, but he did, and it was I just remember thinking like, he's such a he's such a solid player. He's never caught off guard, and he just goes for kind of like a standard macro game, and his standard macro game happens to be very strong.
Yeah, I think he might have gotten to the finals of the first qualifier. It was either the first or the second, but I kind of remember him like losing to Crossy in one of them. Could have very well have been the first qualifier. But yeah, definitely a super solid Zerg. I do know, unfortunately, at least unless he was like practicing in secret, he's been saying he was really busy this week. So hopefully he'll be up to his regular level. I'm sure he got in at least some practice time.
Yeah, I mean, if you've only been busy for a week, hopefully you still managed to stay in shape.
But it's like you mentioned earlier, like in terms of practicing against random, I'm wondering if he actually like spent any time practicing against random. I would guess he probably prioritized ZVT and ZVZ this week.
Yeah, and I mean, who would be able to give you any good random practice, right? I mean, there's not that many good random players to help you practice, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's always so silly to me whenever people complain about random on ladder or whatever, because I mean, if you really think that it's imbalanced or something, like just look at how many people actually play random in competitions. There's very, very few people. So if it actually was good, then people would actually be playing it. Anyway, it looks like we're about to get started.
All right, so in the bottom right, we have Hit 'em Up, who happened to roll Terran.
And bottom left, we have our Black Zerg Hawk.
Right, so Hit 'em Up got Terran. It's his main race. Do you know how he usually plays TVZ?
From what I've heard, I don't think I've played him like ever. I'm pretty sure he's like a mech player, but I also am pretty sure that he's also known as kind of a like gimmicky kind of like timing based player. So yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, I definitely don't have. I don't think I've ever played him either. So, and certainly not in ZVT. So, yeah, I mean, I have the same kind of impression that he is not the type of player that would, favor a straight to late game macro type of plan, you know. But I mean, who knows? Maybe he will just play that, and Hawk will lose his mind trying to figure out what kind of cheese is coming his way.
Yeah. I do remember like a couple years ago, I think talking to Hit 'em Up about like right when StarCraft Remastered came out, and he was like reminiscing about old maps, like playing on. I don't know if you've ever played on the map Destination.
Oh yeah.
Which is like a notorious, like in ZVT, there is so many ways that the Terran could mess with you. There was a lot of like blocking your natural with engineering bays, for example, and just like there's all sorts of abusive sort of little cheeses that Terran could do. So maybe that is like characterizing my my opinion of him a little bit.
Yeah, maybe. I know. I remember my personal. This is when I started playing and learning like 1v1, and I remember my only build. I mean, the only build I did on that map as Terran against Zerg was proxy the factory, you know, at that base that is right next to the main, and then you float the factory in, and then you go 2 portrait. And that was my build every single game, and most people actually just like blindly expected it by you know, after like the at the end of an IC Cup season.
Yeah. But anyway, kind of unfortunate starting positions here because you scout clockwise with your Overlord. So Hawk ended up going 12 pool, I believe, getting his natural hatchery a little delayed there, but he will have Lings out, and Hit 'em Up shouldn't scout them in time. Hit 'em Up looks like he's going for a 1-base tech build, like we were saying.
Yeah, he definitely started his factory. He needs to be a little bit careful here. These Lings are gonna head over. And does Hawk know that Hit 'em Up is in the bottom right? I don't think so, right? That's why he's sending.
No, he's splitting the Lings, so 3 Lings will go bottom and 3 Lings will go to the top.
Yeah, so that's definitely a good thing for Hit 'em Up, because 6 Lings showing up right now would be a little bit of a problem, but 3 Lings I think will be no problem.
Yeah, really unfortunate. If Hawk had just like committed to bottom right, I mean, he could have just slaughtered all those Marines, but unfortunately missing a little bit of a window of opportunity there.
Yeah, with the Vulture on the way, the Lings won't be able to do a whole lot. And taking up the layer, so 2 hash, getting the creep colony, everything pretty standard. I think Hit 'em Up. Yeah, I think he'll just expand very shortly here.
On the plus side, Hawk did get pretty much full scouting information, so he knows that it's tech build. He's getting that sunken up in time.
Yeah, that's true. His Overlord did not. I can't quite see on the map. I don't see an Overlord that managed to, you know, sneak its way towards Hit 'em Up's natural. So definitely a good thing that he was able to scout with the Lings.
Yeah, there's just no time to get an Overlord there. Given that Hawk went pool first, though, his Spire is going to be extremely quick. So, yeah, I don't know. Hit 'em Up could still be in a really tough position.
Yeah, we'll have to see with the timing. The Spire, I think, already went down.
Yeah, right there it is net.
Right. Yeah. So, yeah. Well, I mean, I think we'll see the Armory and the Goliath 2 factory. I'm really unfamiliar with playing mech, so I think you only go to 2 factories. You get your Armory. If it's 3 hatch, you could go to 3 factories. Yeah. So I mean, a surprisingly standard game so far.
Yeah, usually the Goliath build is initially a 2 factory build, eventually moving into like 5 factory or so, because it's really hard off of just 2 gas to get more than that number of factories pumping at once.
Yeah, it definitely leads into a timing attack off of 5 factory. Not necessarily, obviously, but it definitely lends itself really well to that kind of strategy.
Yeah, the classic sort of Goliath build, it usually tries to have like a timing push around like 7:30 to 8 minutes. And then there's different variations after that, depending on how they want to upgrade or if they want to start expanding. Personally, I find the timing pushes like fairly easy to deal with, but Mech Terran is like really frustrating. Not necessarily super hard, but frustrating to play against when they decide to like go into a long macro game and they just like sit there, wait for their upgrades to roll up.
Yeah, it's definitely like a completely different way to play the matchup. Especially there's a huge contrast with um, playing Marine Medic, right? Like the mutas come in, but usually they get deflected relatively easily with Goliaths having their range upgrade and turrets. The mutas will usually just like hang back, but you also can't really skimp on the mutas, right? Because they're an important part of handling any kind of move out with the Goliaths.
Yeah, so there are two basic ways that Terran Urban Zerg usually deals with this strategy from Terran. They can either go mass muta until you can pretty much keep going mass muta until Terran manages to get like a starport and a science facility up, because Raid 8 will just shred the mutas, or Valkyries will shred the mutas, whatever Terran decides to make.
Mm-hmm.
But mutas are really good against Goliaths by themselves. But
Yeah.
The alternative is like going Hydra, but then obviously tanks just destroy Hydras. So once Terran scouts that you're going Hydra, you'll have to make something else in to deal with the tanks, which is usually Queens to brutling the tanks.
Yeah, it's definitely. It's also, like I was saying, that it's quite a different dynamic as opposed to the Terran going for Marine Medic. In those fights, it's hard, I think. I'm not sure if you'll agree, but it's really hard for the Zerg to kind of back away from a fight. Whereas against Marine Medic, I mean, the mutas, they dive in and out, as they please, essentially, and they can run away from fights or they can take the fight. The Zerg really chooses, but if the Zerg commits to a fight against Mech and he misjudges the situation, he can lose the game in one fell swoop.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with that. So the thing is, yeah, like there's not really much to the micro, really. Like you just get on top of the glass and focus them down. But yeah, if you misjudge, you're in trouble for sure. The thing is, like, Mech is so slow. Like it takes, look at how long it takes these glides to get across the map. Bless you. And the same, it's the same for the Terran, right? Like they can't really run away either. So once they're on that side of the map, like they're committed.
Yeah, definitely. You see the Goliaths over there, and the mutas just pouncing the middle line, taking out a lot of SCVs. But more Goliaths come out, and I think it's really hard for the mutas to deal with the Goliaths when they're so spread out. Especially, you can micro them back, and the mutas have to constantly kind of try to catch up with the Goliaths to attack. Because the mutas actually have a pretty short range. So the trade so far, what do you think of this trade so far? There's a lot of SCVs going down, but the third went down as well for Hawk.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I do like playing a backstab based style against Mech, but just sacrificing the third kind of makes me nervous as Zerg, because one of the things against... Oh, okay, well, I guess Hawk was already transitioning into Hydras, and it looks like he's going to clean this attack up, so I don't know, like I would assume that it's going to be a net win for Hawk here. He got a lot of SCVs, but yeah, like I was saying, like one of the things about playing against Mech is it's such a slow build. Terran has to like build up to these like big pushes, right? And it takes a long time. So you really want to like abuse that by getting your economy up as much as possible, getting a lot of drones and a lot of bases.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think I was just gonna say, but on the other hand, Hawk lost his third, and I think being on 2-hatch Hydra is not a really good feeling. I think it's not. You're just not gonna scale well into the later stages of the game. Whereas, hit him up if he just gets like I don't know, 2 or 3, 4 tanks with siege mode. I think suddenly he's gonna have a really strong army against what Hawk could possibly have.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's why that's what I was trying to say. Like not having the third base as Hawk is really frightening, I think. On the other hand, I mean, Hit 'em Up is only on 3 factories, and his economy is still kind of in shambles. So he's not going to be having like a ton of production for quite a while. He has to remake turrets.
Yeah, the muta count did go down quite a bit. Looks like Hawk did rebuild about 5 mutas. And yeah, I mean, at this point it's dangerous to fly in with the mutas. The Goliaths can attack you from outside of their vision, right? So it's a little bit dangerous for Hawk to be flying in with this.
Yeah, he's just trying to poke around to get some scouting information. Like the thing is too, Hydras are generally good against glass, but they need to be in large numbers, and it's really hard to get a ton of glass or a ton of Hydras off of just 2 bases, like you said.
Yeah, definitely. And looks
We'll
like
see. Oh, if he can sandwich here.
Oh, coming in.
This will be huge.
Some units, they're not all together here. Does he have enough though?
I mean, I think he's going to clean this up. Attacking from the high ground and kind of catching that at like the perfect angle.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
that's helping out. Oh yeah, well, I'm really surprised. I think Hirama got caught off guard here, and he didn't. I think Hawk played the map well there. Definitely caught the army in a bad spot. Managed to clean up. I thought it was going to be a lot worse for Hawk.
Yeah, that army from Hit 'em Up was looking a lot more frightening until Hawk got that perfect angle on it. I think if he allowed Hit 'em Up to just get set up to his whim, he would have been in big trouble. But honestly, I'm pretty sure Hawk is definitely way ahead now. He should be able to even snipe this command center, which would be gigantic.
Yeah, I think the game might just be over here. I mean, getting only 3 Goliaths out at a time is not a feel-good situation. The tank looks like it's gonna scare off the Hydras for now, but I mean, when your natural is denied like this and the Zerg has his 3rd base up, definitely a bad spot for the Terran.
Yeah, and Terran on one gas when they're trying to go mech is really weak. I mean, the power of going Hydra Muta is that if they try to start making extra tanks, you can just switch back into Muta and overwhelm the glass that they've been skimping on. And if they're only on 1 gas, there's no way they're going to be able to make enough to deal with both Hydras and Mutas.
Yeah, absolutely. Muta's now free to get a little bit more damage in as the Goliath numbers are pretty low and there's no turrets left. Yeah, I mean, Hit 'em Up really doesn't have much going on right now. Losing that attack, I think, is really backbreaking. Is there any way for him back in this game, you think?
Honestly, with this unit composition, I don't think there is. He can choose to just kind of try to turtle up and like wait for his upgrades to improve. But like honestly, Hawk has full map control now. He can just expand to his heart's content.
Yeah, and I think also like I mentioned a million times already, that there's so many ramps you need to go up to, and if the Zerg has map control and he's sitting there with all of his Hydras, it's gonna be really difficult for him up to ever move out onto the map.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty much up to Hawk. Like he can build a big army, but one of the things that always impresses me the most about Hawk is how patient he is. Like when he was attacking the natural earlier, he didn't try to go up the ramp or anything. He just he knew that he had an advantage. He backed away, didn't lose too many Hydras. So yeah, I don't know. I don't think when you give a Zerg like Hawk an advantage, there's no way that he's going to give it up. So I think it's just a waiting game at this point.
Yeah, he's being really aggressive with his mutas, and it's definitely not a bad call. I mean, there's not that many Goliaths, and they're not great at chasing off the mutas. And
yeah, like the thing is, Goliaths do have insane range, but they actually, because they have their attack is 2 volleys, so it actually doesn't do that much damage when the mutas get carapace upgrade. So they are actually like they take a really long time to kill mutas.
Yeah, and we see a couple vultures coming in here. They have an attack upgrade, so they can 2-shot drones, but man, that vulture
glitching out over. I don't even know how that happened, honestly.
The drone drilled him, I think. That's why he started losing his mind and he couldn't kill a second drone. Looks like Hawk might be gearing up for an attack here. There's so many Hydras, but
yeah,
Hit 'em Up's in a good position, so he has to be careful. I mean, it could be. It's easy to throw away the game if you don't respect the power of a siege tank, right?
Yeah. Despite the fact that like Hawk is way ahead right now, attacking into tanks like this is always scary. But I think this is such an overwhelming advantage; it doesn't really matter, especially with mutas coming in to snipe the tanks.
Yeah, the mutas coming in, sniping the tank, destroying everything. That's the GG out of Hit 'em Up. Hawk wins it 1-0.
Very nicely played by Hawk there. Yeah, I mean, that was the result I was expecting. I'm not gonna lie, but um, nice job by both players.
Yeah, I think it was still quite close. Uh, I think definitely decided by Hawks um, catching hit 'em up's push out of position a little bit.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely. I do think that was the game deciding moment because, like, honestly, Hawk was giving me a little bit of a heart attack there with just like completely giving up his third base. But yeah, like I said, he's just so patient, even when he's kind of down. Like, if I was in that position, I would be like going crazy. I would probably just like tilt off the planet at that point.
yeah, for sure. I mean, it's I think he knew that his chances of winning just pretty much evaporated along with his push.
Yeah, for sure. Um, so it looks like we'll be going to the winners match. Crossy against Hawk, best of three. Or wait, is it losers match or winners match first? Okay, yeah, winners match first.
Yeah, so like you said, best of three. Do we know what the maps are?
I believe Eclipse is the first map for the winners best of three, and after that it will be losers choice for our map pool.
All right. So we have Crossy and Hawk ZVZ. Um, any thoughts? I don't know anything about ZVZ in general, and for these players in particular. So
Yeah, I would. Well, I think Crossy is definitely the favorite here. Um, like I was saying, Crossy is basically like one of the top two players in the entire event. Absolute powerhouse of a player, really good mechanics, and he really studies the game a lot. I mean, both players do, but Crossy's like micro in particular is just a pleasure to watch. Um, and that's like a huge part of ZVZ. It's very it's like playing on a razor blade. Like it can be decided by just a few lings or just a couple mutas.
yeah,
Um,
ZVZ is definitely, you know, from my very uneducated perspective, a very volatile matchup. Uh, but it's definitely fun to watch. It's very. I think it rewards the player who can uh, adapt quickly, who can, you know, who's very decisive. It's also, I think, you know, sneaky Zergs, I think, thrive in ZVZ. Yeah, so it'll be exciting. I think Crossy is one of those sneaky but also very solid players, whereas Hawk, I think I just see him as a really solid player. So yeah, I think Crossy, you know, might be the favorite here.
yeah, but I'm definitely not counting out Hawk. I mean, this could easily go either way. I've definitely seen Hawk take games off of Crossy. Um, and yeah, like you said, it's definitely a volatile match. It depends a lot on the starting builds. Not that like if it's like a 12 pool against 12 hatch, for example, it's not like the game is over, but the 12 pooler will be at a little bit of a disadvantage. So yeah, we'll have to see. It could honestly go either way.
Yeah. So the first map, like we just said, is Eclipse. Is there anything in particular we should know about ZVZ on Eclipse?
I mean, Eclipse is a two-player map, right? So um, it's we might not see like 12 hatch. I mean, honestly, we could see anything. It's a little risky to go. I would say 12 hatch on a two-player map just because you know exactly where the opponent is. So if you're going like 9 pool, it'll be even more of an instant win than usual. I know like Overgas, for example, is a very popular build on Eclipse. I would think because pool first builds in general are good on Eclipse, and Overgas is just particularly good against those builds.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, honestly, I can't really predict what we're going to see. I do think like we're not going to see any crazy like 9 or 10 hatch builds into like masslings. I don't think either of these players do that sort of thing.
I just remember seeing, I think, in one of the qualifiers, it was, I think, Crossy against Striker, I want to say. And I think Crossy snuck a hatchery. He was in the top right position and he snuck a hatchery at the sort of half past 12 base, the one that's just to the left of your main. He built his hatchery there, but Striker didn't know because he blocked his ramp in time, and then some lings came out from that base and went straight to Striker's base. And Striker had kind of the contain at Crossy's main and was actually caught off guard and lost the game off of that. So I wonder if Crossy's going to do a repeat of that. Maybe not, right? But I don't know. Maybe he'll have some sort of other sneaky build he's going to use.
Yeah. I mean, that is definitely a possibility. I guess I didn't realize Crossy did that. But yeah, there are little crazy hijinks you can do. So I guess I can't count anything out from Crossy. I do know in some of the BSLs, I believe like there was one group last season that was just all ZVZ, with like Avilov and Julia and a couple other European Zergs. But yeah, it looks like we'll be starting. But yeah, proxy hatch is always a possibility as well.
All right, so looks like we have in the top right, it's Crossy.
And in the bottom left, we have Red Zerg Hawk.
Yeah, speaking of proxy hatch, I think I remember seeing one of those ASL finals. Was it Zero against Soma, where Zero tried to sneak a hatchery in Soma's main? I think I remember.
Oh, yeah. I think it was actually Zero that tried to do that.
Yeah.
And I don't think it worked out.
No, it didn't. It was I think it was like his only loss or something. He was slightly embarrassed. I think he was comfortably up and in the series, and then he tried to pull a fast one on Soma, but it didn't quite work.
Would have been sick if it did though, but yeah, sometimes you gotta go for the style points, I guess.
So no pool so far. Looks like
Hawk will be going for 9 pool.
Yeah, and
Crossy will be going for either like overpool, overgas, 12 pool, 12 hatch. I'll have to wait and see. Looks like maybe 12 pool.
It's surprising. A drone's heading out. Is that to scout or is it to make a hatchery?
No, it's definitely to make a hatchery. So he's actually going 11 hatchery. This is interesting. I honestly don't know how the timings work out for 11 hatchery, but I would assume it's pretty similar, maybe just a few seconds faster than the 12 hatchery. And 9 pool should just outright crush 11 hatch. So I think he might.
Yeah, because the pool is over. I mean, I hope that's 6 lings from Hawk, otherwise that makes no sense. And the pool just started now for Crossy, so I mean, can he get a sunken in time? I don't think so, right?
He can get a sunken in his main. I think he'll have to
main.
cancel the hatchery or lose it.
Yeah, I wonder what's gonna happen. I wonder if we're gonna see one of those situations where, Hawk's gonna start hitting that hatchery and Crossy's gonna, come in at the 11th hour to save it.
And Hawk not even trying to hide the lings; he's just going straight, which I think is the correct choice.
Yeah, and we see there's 2 more lings on the way as well, so it wasn't just like an initial 6 lings. There's a couple more heading over there. So yeah, I mean, what? Oh my God, the drones are coming out. The mineral line looks like he's gonna try and defend it, right?
Yeah. At least 10 lings. I'm assuming Hawk is going to start droning now because he's going lair first. But yeah, I don't know. This is rough for Crossy.
Yeah, it looks like he's trying to stall, trying to bait the drone, the lings away with his drones. Oh man, his lings are already out, so he might just be able to save it. There's a drill, there's a lings coming in. Oh, there's a fight, but looks like Hawk's. Oh man, he has speed now. He's going straight into the main. Crossy is gonna be. He might be in trouble here. I think he's gonna start losing drones real quick.
Yeah. I actually misspoke. I guess it was speed first after all. Yeah, this is definitely a really tough position for Crossy. He spends so much time with those drones off of minerals. He's really just struggling to even keep up his 2-hatch production right now. And Hawk just streaming Zerglings and
Yeah, I mean, Crossy is losing fights on both fronts here, so it's not looking too good. I think Hawk really went with the right choice here.
It's almost like you have to be a god to beat 9 full speed with hatch first. Honestly, it's one of the biggest build order wins there is.
Yeah, there's no mining going on. Yeah, GG from Crossy. Hawk takes it very quickly here.
So yeah, I mean, like I was saying, really anything can happen. I'm kind of surprised that Crossy risked going 12 hatch or 11 hatch rather, but I don't know. It might have actually just been a sick mind game because like I know Crossy has a reputation of being like a 9 pool is like right in his wheelhouse. It's like his comfort zone. So he might have thought that maybe Hawk was going to try to do like an overgas or something and get the build advantage against him, and he was trying to like turn the tables in that regard. And it just ended up backfiring.
Yeah, it definitely seems like a... Yeah, you're right. I mean, the hatch first on a 2-player map, I mean, that's like, I don't know, going like CC first as a Terran, it's just not... It's just not...
It's a huge risk.
Yeah, exactly. It's a huge risk.
But it looks like we'll be going into Polypoid next. So, yeah, there's a little more nuance to a 4-player map, I would say, just because I mean, like whoever gets the advantage in terms of like scouting first is going to have a pretty big advantage. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see what happens. I would guess that Crossy is going to try to just play it safe and like potentially try to 9 pool again. I mean, or 9 pool this time rather. But I don't know.
Yeah, I definitely have the impression that we might just see a slightly more regular game here with mutas, you know, not just lings.
Yeah, it would be really sad if both games just ended in like 3 minutes. But that is just a fact of life with CBZ.
Yep, it is what it is.
All right, so Crossy is in the top right, blue Zerg.
And in the bottom right, it's Hawk, who's up 1-0.
And like I said, one thing about 4-player maps is that, you know, one player generally, like, so Zerg usually always scouts with their overlord towards the closest natural, right? And just like we see here, Hawk will be scouting Crossy first. So he's already starting with the advantage. He's up 1-0, and then he's going to get the scouting advantage as well.
So I mean, it's obviously, you know, an advantage, but I mean, how big of, like, I'm assuming it's a pretty big deal, but what does it mean concretely in the game? Like, what do you do as Hawk now that you see what Crossy's doing, and what do you do as Crossy when you have no idea what Hawk is doing?
Well, I mean, obviously Hawk doesn't know yet, right? But there are some builds that might be able to take advantage of it more. Like, say, for example, if he was doing like a 9 or 10 hatch build, it would be quite a while before Crossy was able to get a Ling over to Hawk's natural to scout that was, you know, 10 hatch or 12 hatch or whatever. And so in that regard, like, you might be able to hide the fact that you're doing like this cheesy all-in build and disguise it as just like a macro build. And then you could completely catch Crossy off guard, for example. With other builds, you know, there's not that much of a disparity, but just Hawk being able to see exactly what Crossy is doing before Crossy can see what Hawk is doing will let him like squeak in an extra drone or two, for example, or squeak in extra lings. Either way, like, he can push his advantage in whatever direction he wants to.
Yeah, and it looks like Hawk is gonna have a bit of an advantage. He definitely went for what was it, 12? I think that was 12 pool and 11 gas. Was it? He built his pool and gas at the same time at 12 supply. So I think he's at a bit of an advantage here, as his lings are probably going to be out in time. He's also going to see the lings come out, and he has probably a drone or two more, right?
Right. Yeah, I mean, back in the day, there's this map Python with extremely close by air positions. So like the Zergs would just like instantly scout each other. And when you have that kind of scouting information, it's like Zergs would just keep making drones and expanding. And it's like whoever, it was like a game of chicken. Whoever stopped making drones first and started making lings would essentially kind of lose it.
Yeah, I remember Python. Not, I certainly don't miss that map. So Crossy showing up with his lings, there's a sunken colony already for Hawk, so not a whole lot to do, and yeah, Hawk's Overlord just sitting there casually providing a map hack for him. Crossy meanwhile setting up the classic ling arc at the bottom of the ramp.
Yeah. Yeah, he recognizes there's nothing that he can do, so he's just going to block any potential damage from Hawk, sneaking lings out on the map, and start pushing his advantage as much as he can. I think Crossy is honestly a little ahead at this point, but it's probably pretty close, honestly.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I thought Hawk would be slightly ahead as he droned up a little harder before making his pooling gas, but it looks like it's fairly even. I mean, Crossy probably has a few more lings, right? And Hawk probably has a couple more drones. 7 and 6. All right. Yeah, I mean it's about even. I think it's definitely going to come down to the mutas and Scourge.
Yeah, definitely.
Pop out soon, yeah.
I'm honestly, well, see, so this is another way that having the scouting information pans out here. So like Hawk made his spire like right out there. So obviously he knows. You can see everything that Crossy is producing, because like that's a really exposed spire. Kind of makes me a little nervous, but I mean he knows that there's no like threat of ling line.
Yeah, I guess maybe he's just trying to protect the sunken that's behind it now. There's a sort of wall in front of it.
Yeah.
The Overlord has left for Hawk, so Spire is a bit later, but I don't think it will matter given the travel distance.
No, definitely not.
No, it's actually dead even. Wow.
Yeah, even almost to the point where they have like the same gas totals.
Yeah, they have the same everything, right? Same supplies, same gas, same minerals.
Yeah.
We'll see how they're. So, what dictates the number of like the ratio of Scourge to Muta that you get initially?
Honestly, the way I always understand it, I don't know if this is actually 100% correct, but so Crossy actually starting with Scourge. I was going to say like I prefer just spending as much gas, like using all the minerals and gas that I can to make mutas, and then when I run out of minerals, I dump the extra gas into Scourge.
Oh, it looks like there's gonna be a fight already. Hawk getting a few more shots in, maybe 4 Scourges apiece. It looks like no connections just yet. A couple more mutas coming out. Just some flying around. This is a really stressful part of the game. You must have nerves of steel to really to fly around and be ready to fight at any second.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's still pretty even for both players, but yeah, if you miss micro with just even for 1 second, and like a Scourge connects, and your Scourge doesn't connect to your opponent, like you're just in really bad trouble. It is a little closer to Hawk's base right now, so he does have the advantage of having reinforcements come a little quicker. But yeah, he was able to successfully defend his Overlord.
Yeah, that's a big deal, and we saw Hawk manage to get a couple of volleys on across his muta. There's one muta that almost died, didn't quite die, but so maybe a slight edge. I mean, we'll have to see a link coming in, trying to scout what's going on. Look, both players are really thinking the same thing. Now taking their natural. Crossy coming in here, he's gonna get 2 drones. Can he escape? Looks like Hawk won't chase too hard.
Yeah, this is actually, I think it's really, it's okay. Yeah, it was hard to tell for a second who was actually ahead in muted numbers there, but I thought it was a really bad position for Crossy, but he was able to get out without losing too many mutas.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's dead even. Both players escaped with about 6 mutas each. Another link coming in, trying to figure out what's going on. Yeah, so I mean, so where do you go from here? I mean, do you just keep making mutas? Is there any way that we'll see? I know we've seen this a little bit a long time ago in Pro League, where people would eventually take out of mutas and go into Hive. So can you tell us a little bit about like what's the logic here? What determines the course of action for each player?
I mean, it's kind of I feel like late game ZVZ. I mean, I'm sure some programmers will like listen to this and be just like cringing at how clueless I am or something. But honestly, like late game ZVZ is kind of a little unmapped. I mean, there's a couple routes you can take, right? So both players are like relatively even right now on both gas and tech and drones and everything. So I would think that they can just keep, producing mutas until they have about probably like 11 or so, and then maybe like start switching in some more Scourge, just because it's really hard to micro any more mutas than that. But yeah, like just staying on mutas on Lyre Tech for a while. But you can also like in some situations, like one player will be disadvantaged, right? Because they'll say it's like 12 pool against Overgas, and they'll have to like spore up. And from a position like that, you can sort of go into Hive. You can take the risk and like just accept that they have an initial muted advantage, but you have like 2 bases and all the static defense, and so you have time to tech up. And if you can actually get to Hive Tech unscathed and get to like a Defiler with Plague, or you get to Greater Spire with Devourers, your army becomes like exponentially more powerful. But here it looks like I said, both players just staying on mutas and Scourge for a while, seeing what they can get done.
Yeah, Crossy forcing the issue, it looks like. Is that really all Hawk has? I mean, this fight looks like it's hard to tell. Oh man, okay, never. Yeah, it is hard to tell. Looks like Hawk managed to win that, but he lost a few drones at the natural in the meantime, so he might not be as ahead as we might have thought.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to tell. I thought that Crossy had a bunch more Scourge behind those mutas, and I was kind of expecting him to like run in and just eviscerate Hawk's army, but I think Hawk came out of that way ahead. Yeah, it looks like Hawk's on like 11 mutas and Crossy's only on 7.
Yeah, there's a ton of Scourges for Crossy. However, it looks like Crossy really wants to go, even though he might not have the muta numbers. Looks like he's going to take a fight. Scourges coming in, connections, a couple of. I don't think those were the connections I was looking for. I think most of the Scourges went on a single muta, and he ends up significantly behind. Looks like Hawk might have the confidence now to go, but
yeah, I think he's smelling blood in the water now. He realizes that he has a pretty significant muta advantage. He's just going to press this. Yeah. Crossy is going to try to like force him back to his natural with these lings, but
but it looks like Hawk might have overstretched a little bit here. Now he's on the run. Crossy is chasing him with about muta. A couple lings coming in. There's a second though. Is he gonna pick off any drones? It doesn't seem like it. The natural was denied there, so no gas there.
Yeah, he should be fine. I guess it was a little bit of a misrally, I think, from Hawk, because it looked like he had a couple mutas that were just sitting at his base. I don't know if they hatched while that fight was happening. But I think Hawk is still ahead here. Relatively even supply, though, so kind of hard to call.
Yeah, it's definitely difficult. I mean, Crossy, I think, definitely got a couple more pickoffs with his lings on Hawk's drones at the natural. But I think Hawk is winning the air battle, but at the end of the day, I mean, if you have fewer drones, you can only make, you make fewer mutas, so you're allowed to, you kind of have to kill more mutas to compensate. Overload going down here, another thing's gonna happen. Who knows how it's gonna go this time? Like Crossy's gonna flee.
Yeah, it looks like Hawk, the Scourge again are just not connecting like they need to. Let's see how these Scourge do. But Scourge coming in by themselves are always kind of like paper tigers. One actually connected, killing muta there, but Generally, you want to be like attacking with your mutas while you're trying to run in Scourge. Otherwise, mutas can just patrol micro away, assuming proper execution. Not that it's extremely difficult to do, of course, but yeah, I think Hawk is ahead. It's still really tough to call, though.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like whenever we try to call who's ahead, it happens and the opposite happens.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, there's also defender's advantage in all this. So whoever's attacking, the person they're attacking is going to be reinforcing. But I think Hawk just did it.
Yeah, I think he just pulled ahead here. He killed quite a few mutas, even though Hawk has some good spirit connections, and now, yeah, he's definitely ahead. He has 6 mutas.
Yeah.
Interested in the fight. The other one dies. The Lings, I mean, this feels like Groundhog Day. I mean, we've seen this over and over. Lings come in, natural, but can Crossy hold down though? That's the question, because there's 6 mutas, and I don't see an answer from Crossy right now.
Yeah, I think 6 mutas is too much, honestly. Like Lings killing the natural is really good, of course, but once you get the gas and muta advantage, it's extremely hard to come back from that.
Yeah, and we see the supplies. I think the supplies tell the whole story.
So yeah, I mean, wow.
Pretty impressive. I mean, it was definitely close the whole time, and I think neither player really knew, who was ahead, because no one was ahead.
Yeah, this was not how I expected the series to go. I'll be honest. I mean, not that it's over, but for all intents and purposes, I think Hawk is going to win. It's 32-3 supply right now.
There's the G, followed by the GG.
Yeah, so wow, congratulations to Hawk, our first player out of Group A. That's incredible. I'm so happy for Hawk.
Yeah, that was really impressive. And looks like we'll have a little break, and hopefully after that we might have an interview. Who knows? Stay tuned.